sometimes. But Hani is starting off with Perlerino, so he is off to a fantastic start.
Yep, starting with the field spell, always promising. And he's going to grab Tier Element Sharon.
Sharon's effect activates. We'll see what he sends to the graveyard. Looks like a Havness, and he'll use Sharon's effect to send 3 more cards from the top of his deck to his graveyard, hitting a Rhino Heart and a Mudora, along with a Diviner of the Herald.
Thinking.
Pretty good mill there. Let's see what he decides. He looks like he's just going to use Havness effect, not Rhino Heart. And having that Medora already online is going to be fantastic for Hani.
Ooh.
Pack has the Bestial Magnum.
He's going to banish the Havness so that it can't shuffle, return itself back to the deck, and use it and resolve its effect. So it was a hard counter to that play, and Magnum Hut's effect will activate afterwards, so we can get a monster in the end phase. Hani follows up summoning Merle, and which he allows him to send the top 3 cards of his deck to the graveyard, and Pack is chaining the effect of the Havness in his hand. Since a monster's effect on the field activated, now he gets to special summon the Havness and send his top 3 cards to the graveyard.
Yeah, pretty good 3 cards. He's going to have a Rhino Heart and a Soliak, so this is all still Hani's first turn, so Pat getting a lot of stuff online before he even has to start.
Hani got a Sharon, so he's able to use that effect as well. Pack is using the effect of Merle, and I believe Soliak as well. But Hani will chain the effect of Mudora to return the Merle to the deck so its effect can't resolve.
Yep, so that Medora coming in clutch right away, and now Pack is going to resolve his Soliak. See what tier element he decides to add. Probably a Sharon if he doesn't have one, or a Rhino Heart. Looks like it is going to be the Sharon.
The battles over the graveyards are incredible in this format. There's so much disruption of the cards in the graveyard.
Yep, Bestials, Medora, Keldo, plenty of way to disrupt what the opponent is trying to do, which is fantastic when there is so much interaction with the graveyard. So it looks like Hani is going to be fusion summoning here. He's still going to be able to summon Kictalos. He can activate the Primeval Planet Perlino to take out this Magnamut if he so chooses. I imagine Hani's going to try and look for a way. He's going to use the Perlino to destroy the Magnamut and like a Kaleido Heart to shuffle back the Havness.
Looks like, is that a Crimey?
Yep, he's going to add Crime to the hand with Kictalos. Maybe indicating that he already has a Soliak.
He'll use Kictalos' effect. He returns Rhino Heart to the field. Now he gets to send more cards to his graveyard. We have Keldo, Magnum Hut, Terraforming, another Magnum Hut, and a Herald of Orange Light. The Keldo is nice, the other 4 not so much.
Yep, definitely good as Keldo since he already used Medora this turn.
Then search for Merle, sent that to the graveyard, which will allow him to use its effect.
Looks like he's going to put back Kictalos and the Merle, and it looks like he is going to go for the Kaleido Heart right away. Kaleido Heart's the best way to deal with a Havness. Your opponent dropped on you turn 1, or their turn 0, but your turn 1. You don't want to destroy it because it'll trigger the effect to be able to fusion summon. So you got to shuffle it back into the deck.
Yeah, then you can use Perlerino to get rid of Magnum Hut, clearing the field.
That is indeed what's happening. See, he's going to target 1. Kaleido Heart is going to target the Havness. Perlino is going to target his own Kaleido Heart, so he wants to make sure he can dodge some sort of effect negation. Kaleido Heart He also gains the bonus effect. If Kaleido Heart is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, it'll come back, and then he's allowed to send an Aqua monster from his deck to the graveyard. Or a Tear Elements card.
Yep.
So he's going to send Scream. Scream's allowed Solic. So he's able to add Crime and Solic to his hand during this combo.
I guess he values that higher than destroying Magnum Hut. Unless he has another way to do so.
Yeah, he also could have taken out the Magnum Hut earlier with the Kictalis. I mean, there's been multiple... I guess, yeah, he decided that he just wants to make sure he can get that Solic online. I think you're correct in that. Now we're going to see a Link summon. Probably Sprite Elf.
That would be my guess, since there's a level 2 monster in it. Oh, and he special summons Diviner of the Herald.
This is my favorite part about Diviner, is that when you mill it, you just get to bring it back and enable its effect. We even saw Dominic Couch yesterday playing Natis in his extra deck, so he could bring it back with Sprite Elf during his opponent's turn for another added layer of disruption.
He sends Mudora to the graveyard, so that makes it a level 6 tuner. But it looks like he's not able to set up a synchro summon for Baron de Fleur. Pack remembers in the end phase to use the effect of his Magnum Hut.
Still unfazed. Trade one effect, target melee.
Druid Worm coming down.
He targeted Merly, successfully summoning it.
So now Pat gets to start his turn with 2 level 6 monsters on the board, and he'll have the first action here and once he enters the main phase.
Stand by. Main.
And there it is. We'll see what that first action is.
Defense is 3,000.
Tough game state already for both players. It's why this game is so complex. So much happens before you even get to start your first turn. You got to plan all the way out. And it looks like Pack also has Primeval Planet Paralino.
All right. This is keeping the game balanced.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm going to say evening the playing field up a little bit. It's only fair if they both get their field spells up. Looks like Hani also knows how important it is to have that field spell face up in the mirror match. He's going to use Tear Element's Crime. Since he controls a Tear Element monster, the Kaleido Heart, he can send a monster from his hand to the graveyard to negate and shuffle it back into the deck.
He sent Kel back.
No triggers. Anything for you? Yeah. No 5? Sure.
It looks like he decided to trigger the Kelbeck to mill 5.
Dangerous play on your opponent's turn, isn't it?
I think he feels like he's just already behind, so he needs to get something else going. Or maybe he wants to be able to trigger his Paralino to start clearing some of these Bestials on the board. Because you kind of have to assume that Pack's going to be able to continue no matter what. So milling those cards, he'll be able to conduct fusion summons. The biggest thing he's probably worried about is the Keldo and Midora getting milled here. Milling that Keldo is going to be tough for Hani to deal with. Because he's already used his Crime. Soliak's not going to be able to stop the Keldo in the grave, so... Maybe it is a little dangerous to use that mill 5, actually.
I think you're right, though. I think that he was tempted by the Perlorino's effect because Pack doesn't have a Perlorino of his own because of the Crime.
It's tough. There's no right or wrong a lot of times in these mirror matches. It's kind of, you kind of have to feel and hope for the best. I know you're more of a control player yourself. You don't like the randomness. You'd rather make sure you can negate all the effects and have everything under your watch.
I play the ever so predictable Sprite deck.
Predictable maybe, but strong.
Strong and predictable. That's what I like about it.
Anything else?
Still has lots of options. But yeah, it looks like we're placing all our chain links here.
There are a few Sprite duelists in the top 32.
Yeah.
Although Ishizu Tear Laments is the vast majority of the decks.
You could say that. Looks like Hani just, I some pointed at Guido. Looks like he's trying to mill 5 more.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
There you go. I'm not going to try and guess what chain link we're on. I'm just going to try and say what's happening as the effects are resolving.
I know it's at least 6.
That would be 7.
If they had just counted 6.
So Keldo would be 7. So he's going to banish Keldo, and he's showing the targets who to target with Keldo. And Hani's going to do chain link 8, Mudora to shuffle back Pax Hovness and Diviner.
Orange. Okay. Sure. So this goes back for you. This goes back for me. And then your Yugioh resolves as chain link 6. We both know 5.
I'm impressed by how efficiently Hani and Pack are resolving that chain.
Well, you can definitely tell that they've practiced a lot and like going into this tournament, which is why they're both here in the top 32. Believe it or not, practice helps. You can only theorize so much. You have to get down and physically play the game to really get a good comprehension of it. But another 5 from the Yugioh coming down here in the middle of this chain resolving. So these cards are, any card that milled is going to be waiting to activate while we're still resolving this bigger chain right now. This is kind of the thing that we've been anticipating the whole tournament, is a turn like this one.
Yeah, this is the exact complexity level that this mirror match is known for.
Okay, and then your Hoblin doesn't resolve. And mine is chilling 3 for my Scream resolves.
So they're resolving the chain links. It looks like Scream is resolving to add Crime.
Callback, so we're both gonna mill 5 again. Put my deck.
Okay, the chain link 2, they're milling 15 within this chain link resolving.
So no one gets confused. Yeah, just come my deck. And we both mill 5.
Yeah, nobody gets diffused from a lot of these chain links because they're all shuffled back with the Keldos. Oh my gosh, I mean, you guys can see what they're milling. I'm not going to be able to tell you everything. They're putting a lot of cards in their graveyard. I see Rhino Heart, Hovness.
We both activated Hoblins, correct? So we both activated Hoblins.
Yeah, notes are important at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot to keep track of, but they are doing a great job keeping track.
Lots of cards everywhere.
Look at those cards.
The only monsters that are actually on Pax Field are the 2 Bestials on each side of his monster zones.
So many monsters sent to the graveyard with the effects, and so many of them have effects when they're sent to the graveyard.
This is what happens when you trigger your Kelbecs and your Agitos in the mirror match. Madness ensues.
Yugioh 2.
Oh, Pac, I think Pac just said Agito too, so we're going to have another 5 going from both players. This is quite the game. I remember everyone getting a little upset at the Flundery's mirrors.
Yeah, Flundery's mirrors are not nearly as complex as these.
That grass isn't looking so green right now. Oh, man.
I don't know about you, but I have not actually seen a game this complex yet this weekend.
And all these chains, no one's fusion summoned yet. No one's allowed anyone to do anything else but mill more cards and maybe like add a trap here or there. Because they just keep dumping the Mudora, then they use Mudora, now they're going to dump the Keldo. But eventually they're going to run out of these effects for the turn. I think Hani might have already used Mudora and Keldo on this turn. And Pac has only used Keldo.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the Ishizu cards. It's such easy to use disruption to your opponent's graveyard.
And they're online immediately. As soon as they touch down, you can use them.
That's right, because of their quick effects.
So fast.
Couldn't be quicker.
Yeah. Counter traps might have something to say.
That is true.
All right, it looks like Pac is...
3.
There you go. Pac is going to use the Medora to shuffle back whatever tier element effects Hani probably triggered to try and fusion summon, plus a card that might be useless. But while he's shuffling back these tier element monsters, that will trigger Hani's Paralino. So even though he's not fusion summoning, he is shuffling back tier element monsters, so it can trigger his field spell.
That could give Hani the advantage in the overall flipping of cards.
I was like, nothing's actually happened besides the flipping of cards.
Yeah, so it's just flipping of cards, but we know Hani gets to destroy one.
The board is still the same. The board is still on Pac's side, a Bestial Magnuma and a Bestial Druisworm. On Hani's side, he has Sprite Elf, Diviner the Herald, Clyde Art, and a face down. And so it looks like the end of the chain link, he's going to chain Sprite Elf to target Diviner the Herald. That's chain link 5.
That's what it looks like, and we will soon see whether it remains in the graveyard to be summoned.
Awesome. The chain's going to resolve soon, but then we're going to see another 5 milled.
Let's back this.
They're resolving the chain, so this is the Medora.
And then this, but you put it back.
Yep, the third target was the Diviner, but that is now on the field.
Sharon does not resolve. Yeah, you can put those back. Chaining 3, Sharon does not resolve.
Yep.
Chaining 2, Agito, so we both know 5.
And here comes 5 more cards.
Dude,
off
can
the top of
someone
the
deck
deck.
out? Can someone deck out, please?
3, 4, 5.
I just want to see it.
Okay. And then chain link 1 my Reinhardt resolve.
All right, so Reinhardt was the chain link 1 on that last chain.
All right, the field looks a little different now than when all of this started. Pack has a Rhino Heart, and Hani has a Diviner of Herald on the field.
From my hand. I'll put it right here. New chain. I'm gonna go chain link 1.
This is Yu-Gi-Oh history right here, though. These are the moments that we're going to talk about, like in the past. Oh, you remember that Ishizu format? You remember that Dragon Ruler format? Oh, you remember that Necros format? We're just in another one of those, and I love that.
And those are my chain links. 1 Rhino, 2 Merlin.
It reminds me a lot of Necros. With like, you have the hard counters like Mistake, your opponent can go first and Jin lock you. Similar to like Dimension Shift and other things, but...
Yep.
And now I get the triggers now, right? So I haven't used Merly yet.
Nope. That's your last one.
Yeah, Hani might still have Keldo live. Now he's going to use Merly's effect.
I have to wonder how many cards are in their decks. It doesn't look like many.
I mean, they milled at least 20 from each other's decks this turn. So
Yeah. Plus their starting
the starting
hand.
turn. So that's, yeah, they're getting low. But the cards keep going back also with the Shizu cards as well.
That is true.
But putting back 3 and milling 5, you're still losing out there. It looks like the Merly might resolve. I know he's going to chain Keldo to Merly.
Merlin.
Like, and Rhino. You
And Rhino. Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, this is my graveyard.
chain, Keldo.
Yep, target Merlin. What else?
So Hani is chaining Keldo, targeting the Merly that Pack is trying to activate to fusion summon.
Let's see if he wants to give Pack more cards in his deck.
Imagine if you had Exchange of the Spirit. Each one of those Kelbecks and Agitos, 5 more to be the player of your choice. You can really deck them out quite quickly. Time Thief Redoer, take another card off the top if you need it.
Yeah.
When I initially saw Time Thief Redoer being used in Tier Elements, I wondered, like, oh, there's another deck out card. But then I realized you could detach the monsters via card effect and trigger their effects to fusion summon. But I really like that it adds 1 more card to try and deck out the opponent.
Those 2. That's the last chain link.
All right, so it looks like Pack is using his Midora to put back a couple of Bestials into Hani's tiny
Shuffle back in the Duel one.
Yeah, that is.
deck.
Then the next chain link was.
That looks like no more than 10 cards.
Oh, it's probably less.
fewer.
Yeah, I'd say like 7. It's tough for the camera. If I was in person, I'm pretty good at guessing accurately, but...
Yep.
So, we're actually going to see a fusion summon resolve. Pack out of ways to stop Merly, so he's going to be able to summon Mud Dragon.
And then the first chain link.
Now, Chainlink 1, finally, Rhino Heart is going to send. Interesting, Hani still hasn't used his Paralino yet, I don't think. He might have somewhere. Oh, no, he must have used his Paralino because the Druisworm isn't on the field anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't see how else he would have gotten rid of it.
Oh, maybe, no, I think it had to have been that. But it looks like the Rhino Heart's going to send down Havnus. Oh, no. He sent down the wrong one.
So I get trigger effects now, right? So,
I wrote that down wrong. Dang. Okay.
Oh, no. Devastation from Pack's side. He thought he hadn't used Havnus, but he did. He still had Sharon online and sent down the wrong tier element.
Oh, that's painful.
target, and I'm not called.
Okay, so no, he still has the Paralino alive, and he's going to use it to destroy the Magnemite?
No, so how did the Grossworm leave the field?
Who knows? I'm sure there was something happened. And I hope it didn't just get lost in the sauce of all the cards, but I'm pretty sure there's something that happened there that we might have not caught.
It's very easy. They could have missed something in those 40-something cards flipped from the deck.
Two. Okay.
2 decks.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Pack has a Sharon in hand. Pack still has 4 cards in hand. This was just the start of his
Yeah.
turn. We haven't moved very far into the turn yet.
yeah, we pretty much haven't seen his hand at all, but now he sent the Sheeran to the graveyard, so that will undo his mistake of
Yep.
not realizing that he hadn't used Sheeran, right?
Yep, and the Heartbeat is going to add back Sulliak from the graveyard to the hand. Let's see what he decides to fusion summon here with Sharon. See, the good thing is we're past everything now, pretty much. Both Medora and Keldo have been used by both players. Almost all their effects of fusion summon have been used by both players. The only thing that's left on Hani's side of the field, he has a Solic set. And looks like 2 cards in hand. Now Pak is fusion summoning for Kaleido Heart. See if he goes after the Solic, or he can go after Solic, Kaleido Heart, or Primal Planet. It looks like he's going for the Solic. The face down Speller Trap.
Hani could chain it if he wants to send a card to the graveyard.
This looks like what he is considering right now. Hani not on a lot right now.
We're almost 17 minutes into the round, and we're still in the first duel.
Yeah, they're playing quickly, too. Just
Yeah, still in Pak's first turn.
a lot going on, though. So he does decide to chain the Solic, going to send the Kaleido Heart, and then he'll be able to negate Kaleido Heart. And then Kaleido Heart's going to come back, and then his effect will trigger to send a Teal card from his deck to the graveyard. Looks like he does have about 10 cards left. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, I'd say about 10. Goes to send Sharon. Probably already triggered this turn if I had to guess. 8.
8. Yeah, Pak is.
I was close.
To know.
It was 9 when I guessed 7. Close. Pak goes into Dweller. So even with the Dweller boost, Hani's Kaleido Heart is the same attack thanks to having the planet. He needs to deal with the Sprite Elf, so he's probably... Yeah, he's going to go after the Elf first.
Kaleido Heart, attack your Mud Dragon. It's at 24, I'm at 3,000, you take 600. You're at 66.
All right, Pak is inflicting the first points of damage.
Activate Dweller.
Now he's Dweller Zeus just trying to clean up the board, but the Kaleido Heart will come back for Pak's effect. So he'll be able to summon back the Kaleido Heart and send that Teal card. So Pak in the driver's seat now.
Yeah, the Kaleido Heart won't come back for Hani because he already used it.
After all those mills, you can see Pak knew what was going on, planned his plays expertly, had a slight misstep, not too bad since he was able to still mill the Sharon, and she's really showing the power of Zeus in this format.
Hani does have a Perlarino in his hand, we saw, but I don't know if he has a Tier Limit monster in his deck. There's not a lot of cards in there.
He has at least one, I think, from a fusion summon, but yeah, only 7 cards left.
So there's the Perlarino.
Pak probably trying to decide if he wants to use Crime here. Now that it's a new turn, any sort of Keldos and Redoras that are sitting in the graveyard are back online now. Which I'm sure Hani has a couple of. He already has a couple Keldos banished, I think. So he has. I see a Medora. I see a Kelbeck.
Pak is confirming whether there's a legal target or a card in his deck to get.
Yeah, when you're at this point, you can kind of guess what the last cards are in your opponent's deck because you see everything else.
Yeah, I mean, if Hani didn't have a card to search for in the deck, he could always return it to the deck with the Ishizu cards, like you had said.
Very true. But it looks like Crime is coming down for Pak, not wanting to let that extra effect of Paralino to destroy a card being an option for Hani here. Yeah, Dweller into Zeus, pretty good in the mirror match. You don't have to worry about all their effects activating the graveyard, and you get to clear the enormous board they probably made when they went first.
Yeah.
So it looks like Hani is going to use Mudora preemptively. The way you can use these Shizu cards, you can preemptively use them to put back your opponent's Shizu cards so you can force them to use it or they lose it. But it looks like Hani realizes he's not going to be able to do enough to climb back into it. And after a long game one of 3 turns, but very complex turns, Hani wins game number 1.
Yeah, that was a good demonstration of what this deck is capable
Or Pack,
of.
sorry. Misspoke.
Pack, yeah.
Pack won game number 1.
But that was a good demonstration of what these decks are capable of, because even though it wasn't a long duel in terms of number of turns, there were a lot of cards revealed.
More actions than we'd probably see in a lot of previous formats for duels that would go maybe 10 turns. Way more actions just in 1 turn. I knew we were in for it as soon as it was Pack's turn and Hani milled that Yugioh or Kelbeck, whichever one. And he kind of looked at Pack, looked at him in the eyes, and he's like, activate. Because he knows what's about to happen from this point on. Are you ready? You better know what you're doing, because we're about to go for a ride.
It just starts a chain of events that just can't be stopped once you start it.
It is definitely a little intimidating, but a little rewarding too to be able to manage all that information so fast and quickly all at once and capitalize on it. It reminds me a lot of the first time I ever played with the dragon rulers back in the day. I realized Yu-Gi-Oh had changed. There was a different way of playing. My hand was no longer my hand. My graveyard was my hand. My resources were everywhere. I needed to manage my deck, my graveyard, my follow-up all at the same time. At first it was like, oh, this is so overwhelming. This is so much to do. But after playing with it for a while, it's like riding a bike. You just get used to it. You're just like, oh yeah, I know exactly what to do in this scenario. Where you've seen it, and that's why you can kind of tell with Pack. He's practiced. He's played this mirror match. He knows when to trigger his effects, when to hold off, when to force out the Mudora and the Keldo. And it really paid off for him here in the top 32. The way this is the single elimination portion, so only one will move on and the other will be eliminated.
Card management has always been a very important part of the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. And in the old days, usually the cards you're managing were the ones on your hand and in your field. So although where the cards you're managing has changed and the graveyard and the banished zone have become a lot more relevant, the idea that managing cards is the key to victory has never changed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yep, got to know what to do, when to do it, and when to hold your cards, when to fold them. It's still, it's just very similar the way it used to be, just with more steps now. And it looks like we are ready. Our duelists are jumping into game number 2 here in our top 32 matchup. It's Pack, it's Hani, 2 veteran duelists going at it. Let's see if Hani is going to elect to go first.
I think it's safe to assume, and he does indeed. He uses the effect of Sheeran to start things off. Sends Havness to the graveyard, followed by the top 3 cards of his deck. Is that a Celiac and a Crime?
It does look like it.
It's hard to tell the common Tearlament cards apart.
I have that issue with the Sprite monsters. The Pixies, Red and Carrot, especially Red and Carrot. They're kind of hard from a distance for me to differentiate. But it looks like Celiac is going to add Rhino Heart. Then I think it was Havness that he discarded as resolving to fusion summon Kiktalos.
Yes. So let's see if he sends one of the Ishizu cards capable of sending 5 more cards to the graveyard. Will he activate it?
He did last game. Didn't really pay off the way. You have to assume that if he was already in that shit, nothing changed from that position. He was going to mill the cards anyway and hope to maybe mill better than Pack and jump back into a game he fell out of, but wasn't the case there.
Okay, so he's going to use the effect of Kitkalos. He'll special summon from his hand and then use Kitkalos' effect.
Sharon, Yugioh, Sharon, Diviner, and Havness.
So the Havness he used already. But he could use Sheeran if he wishes. And we'll see if he uses the Yugioh.
Looks like he's going to send down Merle with Rhino Heart. I can't imagine he'll use a Yugioh. He's going to be able to trigger all of his fusion effects here, and the Rhino Heart's already being triggered.
Yeah, it seems dangerous to do that now on a turn where you don't get a battle phase, because it's the first turn. But we'll see.
What's 2?
So no, just Sheeran and Merle it looks like he's going to use.
Looks like Pak is thinking about using Herald of Orange Light.
And then share.
I don't think he's sent a Keldo or Eudora to the graveyard yet.
Nope, just that Yugioh.
And that can be a big problem for Hani.
And if Pak has like a Keldo or a Mudora with his Herald of Orange Light, that could be huge.
Orange light.
Because he could negate them early and then use the quick effect to shuffle back the other one.
We might see that.
Nope, he's going to go with Kelbeck. He could trigger this Kelbeck here. Hani doesn't really have much more he could hit.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably a good move. Hani's already used now 3 tier limit monsters. The only gamble there is that you risk Hani sending the Mudora and Keldo to the graveyard, which we mentioned before, which will severely disrupt Pak's turn.
Very
It
true.
does take one.
So many things to consider when you're trying to decide if you want to activate your effects.
But that's not stopping Pak. He's using its effect. Kelbeck will send 5 cards to the top of from the top of each deck.
2 more Kelbecks, a Magnum and a Celiac. Not a good mill.
But there is a Keldo for Hani.
So Hani more of the winner out here on that one. Both these players have so many monsters in their deck. They're both playing 30 or more monsters in their main deck. Kind of like a Light Sworn deck, so rough not to hit the cards you're looking for.
I see how this matchup can be so much fun because you're constantly just flipping cards and hoping. Hoping to come out ahead.
Yeah, I like it, yeah. It's a lot of fun. And it looks like Hani is going to normal summon Mudora just to overlay. Not only does this Mudora give him a level 4 to make this Abyss Dweller, when he detaches it for Abyss Dweller, it's now in the graveyard to be used to shuffle back on top of that. So just Dweller Rukalos, not the strongest opening from tier limit deck, but through a Herald of Orange Light plus Kelbeck, not bad.
Do you have any player priorities that you want to act?
All right, Pak starts his turn.
Hani asked if he wants to use player priority to super poly him because he does have 2 water monsters face up, but I don't think Rukalos can be used as a fusion material. I don't know if that's Rukalos. No, it's Kaleido Heart that's like that. So no worries there. And now Abyss Dweller is going to detach that Mudora. Pak enters the main phase, activates T.R.H.Syndicate Scream.
Looks like he's about to normal summon a Rhino, not a Rhino, I thought it was a Rhino Hearts, a Merly. So he gets to send 3 cards to the grave with Merly and then 3 more with Scream.
Yep.
Wow.
Lots of things would have triggered had he not been under Abyss Dweller.
Yeah, that was a rough one with Abyss Dweller shutting him down.
Oh, but now he's going to do Keldo, discard Mudora. This is my favorite play because you're able to not only put a Mudora online in the graveyard immediately, the Keldo will let you add a card that mentions Exchange of the Spirit.
Or he would, but for the Abyss Dweller.
It looks like this might prompt a Rukalos negate.
It does indeed.
Rukalos will bring itself back by its own effect since it was sent there to the graveyard.
Magnet effect, targeting Divine. Yeah, I'll proceed.
Magnum's going to be the last card Hani's going to show Pak before he concedes, and a much quicker game 2 here, and they're moving on to game number 3 in top 32.
Yeah, the Rukalos and the Abyss Dweller were enough to really shut Pak down. The Abyss Dweller was particularly brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Pak had a chance there with that Kelbeck Mill 5, but just hitting nothing off it. Hitting 2 more Kelbecks, just the Soliak. If he'd hit any sort of tournament name, maybe he would have been way more into that game, or maybe a Mudora or a Keldo.
Yeah, that could have given him some action on Hani's turn.
Just to have something, yeah. But instead, it was just to add a monster to your hand, which is pretty good, but not what you need when you're trying to stop something like Abyss Dweller from coming out.
Right. So they do have a little over 10 minutes for the final duel, which may be enough.
Yeah, that game was, I think, about like 7 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, if it's as quick as that one, time will not be an issue. If it's as long as the first one,
And this is single.
certainly will.
This is single elimination, so there will be no draws. One of these players will win this match. The other one
It is guaranteed.
will take its game mat and maybe go play in some public events. There's been plenty of YCSs where I lost early in the top cut that I just ran over the public events and made sure I still had time to sign up for more. I just want to keep playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, a lot of the strongest players just can't get enough.
Yeah, the more you play, the more you learn. You're always learning. If you ever get to a point where you think you know it all and you don't need to practice anymore, you don't know. You're no longer probably one of the better players. You're just gonna slowly fade away. You always got to keep growing and learning. Never think you know it all.
Yeah. You won't stay at the top of the game for long if you don't keep playing.
It's like it's alive. Like the format's always evolving. Just because you know something one day might be completely different. Just because everyone decided the trend is something different for a deck, and the way to counter that, you're gonna have to change your options up, work on your side deck, try different strategies out. Just don't stick to the same thing. There's a lot of different ways you can keep improving your play styles.
Yeah, and things keep changing within the game as well. New cards keep getting released. Forbidden and limited list changes affect what you're allowed to use, and just as players change the way they build their decks, that affects the way you should build yours as well. So there are so many moving parts that only the best duelists are able to really adapt, and those duelists usually do dedicate a lot of time to mastering that skill so that they're able to play well.
Yeah, and it really pays off because we see the same kind of players making it to these top cuts. And these aren't just easy tournaments. They're over 1,800 people. Like, that's a lot of people to make it to the top cut over and over again. And Pak, Hani, we've both seen them, both YCS champions, both phenomenal players. But now they are going down to game number 3. Only one will move on to top 16 and be a mere few rounds away from being crowned a YCS champion.
941.
941, thank you.
Looks like the clock on the screen is off by a little bit because they said there were 9 minutes and 41 seconds left.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 3. Let's get started. Pak finally getting to go first, went second both of the other games.
Medora effect.
She's going to use Medora, discarding Kelbeck.
Alright, special summons it.
Not the one you want to special summon, especially when you're not playing Gravekeeper's Trap.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind special summoning it if I did play Gravekeeper's Trap, but Kelbeck's effect will send the top 5 cards to the graveyard, and this is going to be extremely impactful on the duel.
Okay. So for Pak, Scream, Keldo, Sharon. For Hani, we have Sharon, Keldo. And I can't see what's in between them, but they basically milled the two the same thing. So nothing should resolve here.
That looks like a Kelbeck for Pak, which he's already used.
Yeah, and there's a Keldo in between the two Screams as well.
Oh, there is. You're right.
So they basically milled the same cards, but Pak has a Scream instead on top of the other cards. But we do see a Gamma, so now maybe a little bit of information for Pak. He knows Cyframe Driver is in Hani's deck. Or hand, maybe.
Could be.
That's where my driver always is.
Good. That's where it's safe from being sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that to happen. And then
Would you rather draw it so it's safely protected in your hand?
yeah, I can tribute summon for it. The Keldo is going to be shuffling back the TR elements. Both players are going to use their Keldos to stop the other player from resolving their TR elements.
All right, that'll simplify the game state a little bit.
And then he's going to be able to add TR elements Crime, thanks to milling the Scream.
I use Sharon, and then you use Sharon too, right? And then we both use our Keldos. Okay. Normal summon Reinhardt effects.
Pak was just confirming what has been used to avoid any illegal plays.
Normal summon Rhinoheart. Let's see what he's going to send down. Looks like Hovness.
Thinking about using it.
Havness has not yet been used.
And Hani has the Magamut.
I assume that's in chain to the Hovness's effect.
Trying to banish it from the graveyard so it won't be able to return to the deck.
I'll chain Spooky Dogwood to that effect.
Oh, wow. So he has a Spooky Dogwood, so he's going to start gaining life points.
Okay, so since Magnum Hutt's effect uses the chain, he'll gain the life points immediately, correct?
Yes.
So that puts him ahead. I don't think that this game is going to go to time on this turn.
It's always good to have a little extra life, especially if he has another Dogwood in his hand. He can use it during Hani's turn as well. He just says, I'm going to gain life if you're trying to summon at any point in this duel. Time Thief Redoer? Haven't seen that one come down this weekend yet.
Then I'll go
You were just talking about Time Thief Redoer.
It's always good to have him as a backup plan.
set this and then end phase.
In phase, Hani, you can see how excited he is here. He's going to be adding Druid Swarm with Magnemite. He definitely feels like he has an opportunity to take advantage. He has Instant Fusion in his hands. That's why he's excited.
Either that or he just sees all his opponents summoned on the first turn as a Time Thief Redoer. That's pretty exciting too when you're facing off against tier limits.
That is pretty exciting, Mike. And he's going to take the Keldo off of Hani's deck, so he's just giving Hani, if the Time Thief Redoer does use his effect to banish himself, Hani now has a Keldo in his graveyard as well.
Definitely not the best hit there. Instant Fusion, although very powerful, does cost 1,000 life points, and time is approaching.
Yeah, Hani's going to want to play as fast as he probably can here.
This is a tough position to be in because there's a lot of complicated moves to make, and sometimes it's better to just play suboptimally quickly than to make all the best moves. And he may quickly find himself in that position where he's just playing before he's thinking.
Yeah, you can sometimes psych yourself out before you even get to the right step, and then you just cost yourself the game. I'm one of those players that I want to play well, but I also want to play quickly, play well as fast as I possibly can.
Well, that's the good combination. You want to play quickly as you play well and play your best. But sometimes you have to choose between the two.
Yeah, but you got to practice it. A lot of people when they play test, it is good to take your time and understand everything you can do. But if you don't practice playing with a clock, you're not going to be used to it when you enter a tournament.
You're right, and that's why local tournaments are a fantastic training grounds for events like this.
Certainly, yeah. Just check out your local OTS and get some practice under your wings before you go to Championship Series. Or maybe just go check out the Yugioh Championship Series and play in the main event. If you don't do well, there's public events as well.
Yeah, better than a local tournament. A YCS is a great training ground for a future YCS.
I remember when I first started traveling, every time I felt like I came back home, I was just so much better. I feel like I learned so much from playing from people from all around the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even in the YCS that I won in Philadelphia, I believe it was in 2007 or 8.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a stronger duelist at the end of the tournament than I was in the beginning.
Yep. And it will always continue to feel that way. So using his fusion effects, or he's using shuffling back with Keldo, puts back 2 Kelbecks into Pack's deck. A card into his own deck. The board is cleared for Hani. Hani's going to discard Mudora with Keldo. Now Keldo is going to add a monster that mentions Exchange of the Spirit. Looks like he's eyeing Kelbeck. Now, this is one of those moments where Hani needs to play just a little bit quicker because he has a lot of advantage. Pack just has 1 face down, 1 card in hand. We have to assume his face down's Crime. He has no 2-1 monster on the board to be able to trigger it.
And he is down by a lot of life points.
Up 2,500. So you're up 3,500.
3,500 is the fusion.
Battle?
Yep, I'll take all of it.
All right, he's entering the battle phase. Pack is very quickly taking the damage because that's going to drop Pack below where Hani's at. So Pack knows he needs to make it to his next turn to have any hope of winning.
Main phase 2?
Yep.
Main phase 2. Interesting that he decides to summon the Druid Sword main phase 2 instead of just getting that extra damage in there.
That is a strange play indeed.
Yeah,
But
that's going to be
matter.
it.
Pack offers the handshake.
I should have told this on your turn.
And Hani is moving on to top 16. 2 excellent duelists going at it. A fantastic match, but Hani just getting the slight edge there at the end. Pack finally got to go first. His start just wasn't so great. Not a lot going on. The 1 BCL Magnemite really shut him down. Sometimes just 1 BCL is enough, but Hani, definitely a veteran duelist, and now he is only a few rounds away from becoming a YCS champion again.
Yeah, he saw that opening after Pack's first turn, seeing just the redoer on the field and not much to disrupt him, and he capitalized it and was very easily able to just overwhelm him on his first turn.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell when he was going into his first turn, he was excited. He was moving. When he was searching for that Magnemite, he was moving quickly. He had everything he wanted, just that Time Thief Redoer, as you mentioned, and the Instant Fusion, one of the best cards in the deck. But we'll be right back after a short break, so don't go anywhere.
You were thinking about